Video I'm going to show you how to make image maps and how to use small navigation things. So we're going to build this really small choose your own adventure style game on the web where you can choose between a left and a right. As you can see, the URL appears here in the bottom. So if you click left, you go to this beautiful forest, and you can go back, and then if you click right, there's a wild dog, so you've lost. So we'll build this up from scratch and I'll show you how to do that. Start off with a blank canvas basically. So all I have is CSS file that contains some really basic rules, box sizing, border box, image max width, so these responsive rules, and then some background colors and fonts for the body, and then a specific styling for links. So that's it. That's linked up here using this link rel style sheet tag, and then in the body I can start typing something. So for example, I had here like choose your path written there, and that would appear here. Now immediately what I want to do is I want to put both the text, the container, and then the image credits into a container div, and I'm going to make a div here, container, that I'm going to place this in, and that's going to be a flex box where all the elements appear below each other, so as a column. So that's this element, that's the image element, and note that I already have some images here. I'll link to that folder in the description, and then I can link to an image. So this is the forest deeper image. This is not the one that I want. I want the forking forest path. So that will be my first image where you can choose your own adventure. Now, how do you get that image map? How you can link to these two parts? Well, there's this image map generator that I've used. So it's at image-map.net. You select an image, and then what you can do is you can drag these shapes around. So you can make a shape here, add a new area if you want, define where you want a rectangle, and then sort of just click where you want the parts to be. You can't really drag, you have to click here. So I have one for the left and one for the right. And then I can click show me the code, and I get this image. Now I already have this image. All I need to do here is add this little use map element here to my image, and then also I have to copy this image map code, and I'm going to, it doesn't really matter where you put that in the page, I'm going to add that after my container, but this element is invisible. It's the image itself that is visible. And then there's one extra thing that I have to add, and that's the credits. And I'm going to copy these from the template that I have. So this is just a paragraph that links to the Unsplash page with a class of credit. So it gives credit to the person who made this picture. Going back to my CSS code, what I want to do here is I want to style the container. And that's really easy. I just type container display flex. Now if I don't specify anything, all the elements will appear next to each other. So the h1, the image, and this credit. But what I want to do here is set the flex direction to column, so the elements appear below each other like this. And then I want to use align item center to make sure that they're all in the center. And I also want to give a max width to this element. And the reason why is because I want to show you how that works with responsive elements, because image maps by default are not responsive, unfortunately. So that means that we have to do something extra. So I'm going to set a margin of 0 in auto so that this thing appears in the middle if I resize my screen. And then also, while I'm at it, I'm also going to style the credits, and all I'm doing here is just changing the font size so it's a bit smaller. Now, what I said about the image maps is really important. So this image map actually has the size of the original image. So that's the size of the image that I put in. That's not really what I want. So to change that, I actually need a plugin here, which is called Image Map Resizer. I've already included the JavaScript file here. And what that needs is just this line of code. So going back to my code here, what I need to do after my image is first include the script tag. So I type script :source to get the script source tag, and then I can link to js/image map resizer. So that's this script. It's just a tiny script that makes sure that the size is correct. And then I have to actually start that script. So I type script again, and then just type image map resizer, and I can just copy and paste this line of code like that. And now, as you can see, this one links to the left side and this one links to the right side. So you can see here at the bottom that it actually links to the right thing. Now these pages don't exist yet, so we have to make them. So I'm going to make a left.html, and that's going to be really simple. It's just basically the same as before, but doesn't really contain the image map. It's just an image. So you can remove that map here. You can also remove the scripts because I don't use image maps. And then here we're basically linking to a different image, right? So we wanted to link to the forest glow image. That's that one. And then use map, that goes away. We also changed the credits here. This is a different picture from somebody else. So we can link to that image. And that's it. So if I click the left side, so this is what I get. And there's one thing that's a bit annoying. You see, if you click here, I actually get this highlight here, and that's because the image map actually shows outlines. So in CSS I can make a style for that, and it's not actually the map itself, it's the area. So this is basically your link, and this is your other link. So this links to left.html, and it's the map area that has what's called an outline. So I can set outline to 0 or none, and that's going to remove my outline here. And if I refresh, yeah, now you see I don't get the outline here, and going right doesn't exist yet. So I'm just going to go to the left side, copy everything, make a new file, right.html, and copy that over. And right is just the same, except that the image is different. It's the one of the dog, so that's going to be forest.dog.jpg, and here it's going to say like arc wild dog. Okay, and again, I give credit where credit is due, so that's a different credit thing. So clicking here, I get the wild dog. Cool, so I can expand on this. Of course, these can be image maps as well, so you can click somewhere else, maybe run away from the dog or whatever, or here go deeper into the forest or climb a tree, whatever you want. And also the headers can change. What I also wanted to show you is the navigation, because now if I click here, I actually have to go click back, and that works here. But of course, if the site's really big, I really want to have a navigation that's the same. And as you're working on the site, so you keep making new files, it makes sense to just have a template that you can copy and paste from. So the sooner you can do the navigation, the better. So we're going to do that on the index page, so this one. And it's above the container. What I'm going to do is make an element that has a fixed position. And I'm going to use a nav tag here for navigation. And inside of that, I'm going to link to index.html, so my default page. So this is the page that I'm on, but it's always going to be index.html. It's not your current page. Then I already have this logo here. It's an SVG file. I'll show you in a minute what it looks like. So I can say img/logo.svg. The alt tag is logo. And that looks like this. And as you can see, it's way too big, but we'll change that. So going to our CSS file, what we want to do is style this. And there's three things that we need to do. First, we need to style maybe the image itself. So nav image, we're going to set the width of that image only to 40 pixels. So it resizes here. If you look carefully, you see that there's a little line below that, and that's because I've styled my links to have a border bottom here instead of the regular text decoration. So I have to turn that off, and to do that I have to say nav A, so the links of the A don't actually have that border, so the border bottom is set to none or 0. And that gets rid of that border. And to actually position that logo here, what I need to do is say nav itself, and I'll do that on top here. Nav itself, here I'm going to say position fixed, so it's always in the same place, and the top is 20 pixels and the right is 20 pixels. And of course you can put it wherever you want. If you want it to the left, that works as well. So then it appears to the left. That's up to you. And what happens with the position fixed is if my screen is smaller and I scroll, you see that the image always stays there, which is what I want. One last thing that I can do here is also change the hover state. So when I hover over the image, something can happen. So you can change the opacity if you want. Sorry for that. You can change the opacity, but you can also, what I do is filter invert, and that's going to invert my image. So basically turn this into a blue image and the white becomes black. Now what I can also do here is then set the transition, and that's my last CSS rule, and that gives a little bit of animation, so you can see sort of a little fade here. And now all that's left is to copy that navigation to all of the other pages. And because this is using position fixed, it's always going to appear in the same position. So I copy that right below the body, and that goes everywhere. So if I click here, you see I get the same navigation. I can go back here, click here, I can scroll, navigation stays fixed, and I get this really nice navigation. That's it.